Welcome back to the Construction Entrepreneur Podcast. My name's Dean Barton. If this is the first time you've listened to this podcast, this is all about entrepreneurship in construction, hence the name, Construction Entrepreneur. Basically where we cut through all the bullshit, I say it exactly how it is, and I pick one topic per episode. So if you're easily offended, this is not the podcast for you. But if you want the absolute truth and you want the realism, hence my name on Instagram, @DeanBartonReal, I say it how it is. And we get straight to the point. And today's episode is all about entrepreneurship and the realities of it, because it is not fucking easy. Regardless of what the internet might say and what people might make out of this whole world of bullshit of 5 easy steps to this, simple frameworks for this. Entrepreneurship is not like that. Entrepreneurship is a blood sport, and it is a sport. And this is something where a lot of people that have got businesses go wrong, is they don't treat it like a sport, because it is. And a lot of the times people are treating their businesses, they've got an entrepreneurial streak in them and they've started a business and they're running it more like a family. And I fell in this trap as well before, being too much of a family. And what does family do? Family lies to you. In reality, family lies to you. Family protects your feelings. Family don't want to rock the boat. Family don't want to say things that might offend you. And that actually gets in the way of performance and results and practicalities of running a business. And one of the things I've learned is that you have to operate like a sports team. How does a professional sports team operate? If the team doesn't perform, they scrutinise it, they analyse it. The manager has responsibilities to perform. If he doesn't, the manager's out. And as an entrepreneur, it's difficult because you are the manager as such until you've built a team around you that's taking care of all of the management and the operation. But it's difficult to fire yourself and have awkward conversations with yourself. So this episode is going to be more centered around, right, okay, let's fucking open the big can of worms of what entrepreneurship really is, the brutalities of it and the actual facts of it. And the more I get you guys thinking like a sports team, a professional sports team, that everyone's got to play, everyone's got to perform, everyone's got to do their job, and everyone's got their role. You know, not everyone's an up-fronter, not everyone's a goalie, not everyone's a defender. The art of entrepreneurship is getting everyone in the key right position so that everyone's playing to their strengths, not their weaknesses. They're not fighting against each other. Everyone's got weaknesses. No one is perfect all round. Find a person that's perfect all round, you'll fail. Everyone's got their good sides, everyone's got their upsides. And one of the biggest battles and biggest challenges of an entrepreneur is finding people that give a shit as much as you do, who put in as much effort as you do and perform at a level that you want them to. And that's very difficult to let go. And it's very difficult to sort of pigeonhole people and go, right, what position are you playing your people at? What position are you fucking playing at as well? Most importantly, yourself. You've got to play the position that's best suited for the business and not best suited for your ego, your own internal position of, you want to be the scorer, when that might not be the best position for you as the entrepreneur. There is different types of entrepreneurs, So entrepreneurship is not easy. It's been made very sexy in the last probably 5 years, probably with the rise of YouTube and the internet and the way that information is spread around. Whereas it is the unbeaten path. The reality is someone choosing to be an entrepreneur is not the normal route that most people take. It's the reason why most people have got jobs. I think it's only between 8 and 10% of people become an entrepreneur and go for it and roll the dice themselves. It is not for everyone. By no means, it is not for everyone. Not many people are actually cut out to handle it and hack it. It is something that's going to test you more than anything you've ever done before. 90% of the time you're going to feel like you're failing. 10% of the time you'll have half a win, but you'll go straight back into the mode of, fuck, well, we've got to do this, we've got to do that, we've got to do this. The winning part is not much of it at all. And I think a lot of people go into entrepreneurship because they see it as, great, you just start a business, you earn loads of money, you buy the car you want, you buy the watch you want, you buy the house you want, you've got a dream life. That all comes when you've done enough work and you've gone through enough bullshit, you've gone through enough failures. And really, you've fucked a lot of things up and you've managed to deal with a high level of stress. Stress management is probably the biggest part of entrepreneurship. the fear of, and the feeling of, should I say, of not knowing. You don't know what's coming next. A lot of times in reality, you can look on paper and the business is performing really well, but if you weren't to be paid for 3 months or something went majorly wrong, especially in construction, 2 or 3 contracts went wrong, you can undo 10, 15, 20 years of work in one hit and go bankrupt. You're always on this verge of winning a little bit and doing okay, but if something drastic happened, you could lose it all. So it takes a very special type of person to be able to hack it and deal with that. And this doesn't matter how big you are. You can be a business doing 200 grand a year or a business doing 20 million a year. This is a constant. It doesn't go anywhere. So the problems don't go away. They never do. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, when they start out, you're waiting for a sweet spot. When we get to this point, then we'll be okay. That's never coming. That day is never, ever coming. You're always going to go from problem to problem to problem. The skill of a really good entrepreneur is learning how to go from problem to problem to problem without losing the enthusiasm, without losing the buzz, and developing the character to be able to do it and actually go through and go to battle every day, because that is what it's like. Yes, there's certain bits that do get easier as you get a team because it's not all revolving around you. When you're a small entrepreneur, it's all on you. When you've got a team, you've got a bigger setup, it's a bit easier to handle stuff in that terms of sense, but the responsibility becomes greater because you've got bigger bills every month, you've got bigger overheads, you've got bigger payrolls. It is a stress box, no matter what the business, even if it's a very simple business, it is a stress box. It is a burden at times if you let it. So managing it really is a skill set. Now, I say this as someone that's been on an entrepreneurial journey really since I was like 13. First time I ever worked on my own, off my own back, did a job for someone, decorated a house, got paid cash. It's amazing, it's perfect. What a great little buzz that was. Probably the most exciting money I ever actually made, to be honest. And that's 300 quid. But you never forget the first money you ever make. And it's a drug, it becomes a drug. It is the best feeling in the world. When you get something right and you have a touch and you pull something off as an entrepreneur, especially if you've gone against the grain a little bit, and you've gambled a little bit, you've taken some risks. Making your own money is the best feeling in the world. End of. And entrepreneurs generally are competitive. You've got a hunger in you, you've got a drive in you that most people don't have. You've either got it or you haven't. A lot of people try and pretend to be an entrepreneur, want to be an entrepreneur, want the label of entrepreneur because it's in, it's trendy, it's cool at the minute. But I don't think people really fully understand the responsibilities that come with it. And I say this to you as someone who had massive ups and downs. At times I've been in a place of renting a room and not having the money to pay staff. At times I've eaten dinner in the car because you've bought food on the go and you don't want to go back to that rented fucking room. And there's moments you have to just fucking dig in and just swallow it, swallow the shit. And every single entrepreneur I know who's done something has gone through a rough patch, gone through a tough time, gone through some extreme challenges, and sometimes they come out of nowhere. Sometimes it's when things are going all good and you're flying, and then a fucking bus comes out of nowhere and hits you square on the fucking face. It is cutthroat, and construction industry, it can be like that. You know, you've only got to miss one thing. You've only got to miss or have someone against you on the other side, on client side, who doesn't want to pay you, who finds a reason not to pay you. A subcontractor fucks up, subcontractor lets you down, leaves you in the lurch. Client moves the goalposts. Contractually something goes wrong. There's a lot of different avenues that can really fuck you up. So it's got to be worth it. And entrepreneurship is worth it when you get it right. When you get it right and you achieve the goals you want to achieve, because again, every entrepreneur is different. There's the entrepreneur that wants more of a lifestyle. There's the entrepreneur that wants to build a conglomerate. There's the entrepreneur that wants to have a few things spinning, not making massive money, but they enjoy it because they've got a few different things going on. There is no one mold fits all. And that's the beauty thing about entrepreneurship. The very reason that anyone is an entrepreneur and they become an entrepreneur is because they want to gel and mold their own way. And that's the beauty of it. You can do what the fuck you want. No one has to tell you what to do. You've got to abide by the rules of being a director in the UK and what that comes with, and HMRC and all that type of stuff. But generally, how you run the business, what business you run, and what you do, and what work you do, and what work you don't do, is up to you. It's completely up to you. Which that's probably the best thing, because ultimately people try and get into entrepreneurship for a level of freedom, but a lot of times people actually get trapped by it and actually become a prisoner and an owner of the business itself. And that's exactly the opposite reason that you went into business, to become an entrepreneur. That's why a lot of people, sometimes they're better off going to get a job, because you can go and turn up to your job at 8 o'clock, you can leave at 5 and forget about it. Entrepreneurship is 24/7. It is not all day, it is constant. It's when you're in the shower, it's when you're with your family at the weekend, it's when you're walking the dog, it's when you're in the gym, it's when you're actually with friends and having a conversation and you've zoned out. I do this all the time, because your mind's on other things. You've got more responsibilities than what people realise, and this is why I wanted to do this episode, as an honest, genuine, real as fuck, this is what it actually is like. And I know some of you listening to this will, a lot of the things I'm about to say or have said so far will register with you, and you go, yeah, that's me. And it's just, unless you are an entrepreneur, you don't understand this. And this is what really fucking winds me up, is the outsider people that will look at us. I say us as if we're a unique thing, but we are our own group. The outsiders will look at us and not appreciate the effort, the sacrifice, and everything that's gone into getting to the point you get to when you start making a bit of success for yourself. Because everyone sees the shiny stuff. They see the car, they see the holidays, they see the house, they see what things you get up to, and they just surmise that it's easy for them. And they set up a business, great, it's easy. 3 months later, they're making loads of money. It's not the reality. It is not the reality. Everyone knows and everyone has heard that, I don't know the exact numbers, but it's something like 50% of businesses don't make it in their first 2 years, 90% don't make it in their past 5 years, whatever it is. Everyone knows that sort of stat. But the realities are, most of those businesses that do fail, if you're an entrepreneur, you're an entrepreneur. You might have a failure, but if it's in you, you roll the dice again and you start again and you do something else. So I would love to know the stat of people that actually fail at a business, roll a business down, and then go again and then become a success. Because this is actually what entrepreneurship is. It is going through a lot of failures. It is going through getting things wrong and basically being kicked in the dick a lot and taking that. And not many people can take that. And this is what I mean. I believe it molds you. I believe every failure, every setback molds your character. Alfie Best said this better than me, and I'm nicking his line. He said, life doesn't mold you, it carves you. It carves chunks out of you. And it does, especially in construction. It will carve fucking chunks out of you. It ages people. You see it in people who look a lot older than what they are. I know I look older than what I am. It ages people. It takes years off people's lives, because you are juggling a hell of a lot. You are dealing with a hell of a lot, and you are basically operating at a rate a lot quicker, with a lot more pressure than most people. So you can be 40 years old against someone who's worked in a very easy job at 40 years old, and you have aged a hell of a lot more, because it carves chunks out of you. And the thing that I really liked that Alfie Best said was that it's your decision whether you let those carves being chunked out of you, whether you are a disaster or you end up being a masterpiece. And I just love that way of looking at it. The chunks are going to be cut out of you either way. So it's your choice whether you are a disaster, a scrap bit of wood that no one fucking cares about except the dog who picks it up in the woods, or you're an absolute masterpiece that's worth a lot of fucking money and it's very valuable and it's a nice thing to look at. And this is just it. It's being willing to have the chunks carved out of you and the setbacks and the bullshit. And honestly, like I say, the highs last for 2 minutes. You make your first big lump of money, and for me, certainly, immediately I'm thinking, how are we going to do that again? You don't sit there and then go and buy yourself a nice car and just sit there and look how much money you've got in the bank. It never comes. It never, ever comes. It's a constant conveyor belt. And I know this as well from people that are ahead of me, entrepreneurs that I look up to, that are in my circle, my friends, other business owners that I speak to. It's the same shit. They're all dealing with problems all the time. There is a piano on your head, which is fucking horrible to have. And you can imagine what it would feel like to walk around with a piano on your head. Your head and your neck's gonna fucking hurt after a couple of minutes, if that. But sometimes we walk around with that for days, weeks, months, years, some people decades. And sometimes you wonder whether it's actually worth it. You know, there are moments when you go, why am I actually doing this? Like, fuck, like, why don't I just go and have a nice, simple life, do a bit, earn really good day money, if you like, or try something else. You know, it's human nature to think like that. But again, the true entrepreneur doesn't give up. The entrepreneur doesn't throw the towel in and think like that. It's probably a human thing to think like that sometimes. But then there's a switch inside that goes, fuck off, I ain't doing that. I'm not going to settle for that. And this is all about standards. It's all about respect for yourself that you don't do that, and you know you've got it in you to fucking fight for it and win the battle, basically. And really, what I've come to learn is the beatings that you get along the way, the unsurprised stuff, the things that you never saw coming, the mistakes you made, the people that maybe lied to you or set you back, or staff that fucked up and did something wrong. They're all the lessons actually that make you win longer term. They're actually happening for a reason, to provide you with the tools and the skill sets to be able to deal with it and see it coming the next time it comes around. Makes the best entrepreneurs. You know, the best entrepreneurs have been around for a long time. They've gone through different financial cycles. They've gone through tougher times when the banks close up. They've gone through tougher times when the pound note isn't as readily available from the customer. And they've gone through the tougher times of just the generic everyday shit that just comes up in business. And the more you do it, the more reps you do, the better you get with it. Same as the gym. You only get good, you only get fit by doing the reps and doing the sets and doing them over time and doing actually the boring work. And this is actually the polar opposite of what an entrepreneur wants. An entrepreneur starts a business because they're full of excitement, they're full of, you know, the will to do something new and kick stuff off. And, you know, I personally love the startup bit, the new bit, you know, or doing a new course of action or a new strategy. I love that. I'm very driven by that. But actually, most of business is actually just the boring stuff. It's the boring conversations with the clients over and over again. It's the boring conversations with staff over and over again. It's the boring processes that make sure that the machine runs as a business over and over again. And you have to get comfortable with boring. You have to accept boring. Yes, you get staff to do the boring, but you've got to monitor the boring as the owner, as the entrepreneur, and check that the boring stuff is being done correctly so that it looks after the profitability of the company and the company's going forward. It's not excitement, it's not frilly at all. It's actually very stale and very boring a lot of the times, you know, and you have to become very comfortable with that. Now, a lot of the times, you're going to feel a lot of pressure as an entrepreneur. You're going to feel a lot of pain. You're going to feel a lot of sleepless nights. You're going to feel a lot of frustration. And you're going to feel a lot of times that people don't do things the way you'd like them to be done. It's not as good as how you do. You have to let go of a lot. You have to overcome some really big mountains and obstacles as a person. Again, while I'm onto personal development, it works, it's true. You have to, again, carve yourself into a person that can compartmentalize in your mind. You can see the bigger picture. You can zoom out. You can understand why humans do things and the why and how they do things. Their drivers, you know, what they're driven by, what success looks like to other people, because they're not built like us. Employees will never have the same amount of care and responsibility ultimately as you as a business person and a business owner. It's fucking hard, but mental toughness is the key. Mental toughness is the key to a really good entrepreneur. Yes, there is having a great product, a great market, great salesman ability, great commercial awareness. You know, they're the hard skill sets, but actually it's about mental toughness. And again, how do you get mental tough? You only get mentally tough by doing really hard things and getting through them. You don't wake up one day mentally tough. I'll be honest, I've always had a decent level of mindset on me from a young age. I've been a go-getter from a young age, come from a broken family, single mum, no money, council estate, make your own fucking way, get on with it. Learned that from a very young age and being the man around the house, if you like. So I was blessed, maybe, with the circumstances that gave me a decent mindset to get going early on. But my mindset has been evolved over the years by doing stuff, getting out there, taking risks, taking gambles, getting things wrong, going through some really hard times, which I've not spoke about absolutely everything on the podcast yet. Maybe there's some other stories that I can share later on. But going through some really fucking hard times, and there's times you really do question it. You question why you're doing it. You're questioning whether it's worth it. But it makes you and molds you into who you are. So it's a benefit in kind, but you don't see that at the moment you're going through it. And that's the thing, that most of the time as an entrepreneur, the only person clapping you is going to be you. Just that voice between your two ears that says, carry on, keep going, you've got this. Most of the time, your effort is going to go unrecognised. People aren't going to see the amount of times you're thinking about things in your head. People don't see the amount of crippling doubt you will have and the failures you've built up behind you. A lot of times people won't know about them, or your shortcomings as a person and things you've just fucked up. And they just won't see the amount of effort, the late nights, the early starts, the being on holiday, on the phone, on the emails, constantly on. And people will not appreciate that unless they've experienced a constantly on feeling. That's what entrepreneurship is. But you don't see the result until the end. Again, it's like fitness. You can go to the gym for 6 months. Yes, you'll see little results day by day, but you're not going to jump on the scales one day and you've lost 30 pounds. You're not going to look in the mirror and you're a chiseled out physique. It's going to be probably a year later. You've got to do all that work before you get the result. And entrepreneurship is exactly the same. You've got to do all the work first. It's all on you. And then people start clapping and then people are around you, you know, and it's just a very solo sport, really. It is, even if you've got a team, even if you've got a really good team around you, it's still quite a solo thing in your own mind, in your own head of where you actually live. Now, what that's made me, and you guys might resonate this, it's actually made me a hard person to be friends with. Because if the conversation is not about entrepreneurship, business, personal development and fitness, so is back into personal development, they're all linked. If the conversation is around that, I'm not really fucking interested. I zone out. I've got this thing. I've got this weird thing when I could be at a restaurant with 4 or 5 people and if the conversation turns into what's on the news or so-and-so's done this or been on a holiday or a TV show that I'm not really interested in, if it's not around business, fitness, personal development, I just zone out. I fog over. My eyes glaze over. My missus knows to give me a little nudge under the table because she goes, "You zoned out again." I go, "Oh, okay, yeah, cool." So I have to put the act on a little bit with family and friends or whoever I'm with. But I just zone out. I've got to that place. So I'm a difficult person to be friends with because when you're so driven, when you are an entrepreneur, you're always thinking ahead. Even I can go to a hotel and I'm looking at the fit out. I'm looking at the interior. I'm looking at how they did it. I'm looking at how much money that hotel's making. I'm looking at how many people have walked in, how many people bought this, the cars, the environment, absolutely everything. It's a brain and the mindset that just doesn't turn off. And the thing is, I used to fight it a little bit, but then I've come to know, but that's who I am. And you guys listening to this, you know, like I say, you might relate to this and go, yeah, that's who I am. And this is what it is. You're just in a different camp when you're an entrepreneur. You know, you use it. I don't know what it is, whether you use a different part of your brain or something's going on. But you're just not like everyone else. You're not looking for trying to watch a TV show in the night. You're not looking for switching off on a Friday and forgetting about work and stuff. You know, you're on. It's an on or off switch. End of. And really, I suppose we're a little bit mental. We're a little bit crazy, maybe, especially to people not like us. And I'm certainly probably the weird one out of all my family, the family tree. No one else is really like me in my immediate bloodline, if you like, have got that sort of thing. So you have to be very self-aware that who gives a fuck? Fuck them. It's totally cool because there's other entrepreneurs out there. And this is why I'm a big fan of the right relationships with other good entrepreneurs around you. I think it's so important to have entrepreneurs not below you, it's the wrong fucking word, but maybe someone who's a bit earlier on in the entrepreneurial journey. I think it's great to have those people around you because you can provide a sense of advice to them and give them help. But then it's also great to have entrepreneurs ahead of you that you can learn from. And these are the people you want to learn from. You want to learn from other entrepreneurs. You don't want to learn from steady eddies. And this is one big thing I've always said, you know, you never ever want to take any advice as a business owner from someone who's not in the position that you want to be in, or someone who's been in the position that you want to be in. Because it's just going to fog your mind and cloud your judgment. You know, you have to learn from other decent entrepreneurs and finding them and getting them around you. You know, there's only so many real fuckers around as well. There's a lot of fakes out there. There's a lot of bullshit out there. And this really is why I actually enjoy doing this podcast, because you can't fake it. It's me speaking to a fucking camera at the end of the day. It's being recorded. It is what it is. People either like it or they don't. And what I found is some people come across me and the bluntness and the fucking say how it is a bit too heavy. But then they come back and watch another episode or watch another reel on Instagram or watch another post or read another post and they go, do you know what? You're fucking onto something. And I think we're really lacking a sense of just real, authentic fucking people. And this is what I just hope is that this podcast can be turned into something where entrepreneurs can fucking tune in and it is what it is. Say it how it is. And you either take it for what it is, you either like it, or people don't, they don't come back. I'm totally cool with it. And I think you have to just get very comfortable with who you are as a person, as an entrepreneur, and just accept it and be cool with it. It's not something to worry about, especially when you're a younger entrepreneur. And this is the thing, you can be a young entrepreneur, but you're 50 because you've only been in business 2 years. And I think the average business owner starts at 45 in this country. Whereas you can be 25 and have 10 years of entrepreneurial experience. You've got something to give to the 50-year-old. So it's not unique to age, it's unique to entrepreneurial journey and the shit you've done and the things you've tried, the failures you've made. Now, one thing I would say about entrepreneurship is the good times are easy. When the good times come, the economy's good, work's flowing in, plenty of inquiries coming in, staff are performing. Anyone can do that. That's easy. If you've got endless work coming in, endless inquiries coming in, you've got someone in the team who's really good at pricing, or maybe you do the pricing yourself. You're winning enough quotes out of how many you actually do. You've got a great team and you've got staff there. That's easy. A lot of people can do that role. A lot of people can do it when it's easy. You can find a manager or an operations director or whatever to run the company and run with that. What makes a good entrepreneur is going through when things are challenging, when there's a problem. And this is actually what entrepreneurship is. It's solving problems. It's dealing with, we haven't got enough inquiries coming in. It's dealing with, staff members fucked this up. It's dealing with, a subcontractor's gone bankrupt, left the site halfway through and we've got to do it. We've got to find a replacement but keep the program on the job because we're back to back with the client. It's dealing with a problem. I've got a friend who's had this issue where someone's falling off a scaffold and they've cracked their head open and in a coma, and you're facing major bad press. You're facing major fucking lawsuits and all sorts of stuff. It's dealing with fucking problems that come up, and people don't understand how risky construction is. It is trapped with a lot of things that can go wrong. The health and safety side, the payment side, all of it. Many things that I've said before in this episode. So it has to be worth it. So you have to win. And this is the thing, you're only going to win when you get through the hard times. So you have to just, again, carve yourself into being so mentally robust that a complete shit sandwich can happen right now and you cannot react in an emotional, aggressive way, a spoiled little prick way. You deal with it in an intelligent, mentally robust attitude, and you conduct yourself like a real proper leader and an entrepreneur that fucking gets things solved and handles problems. But like I say, you only get there by going through bad things and dealing with it and moulding and carving yourself into that person. Now, entrepreneurship, is it worth it? Yes, it is, 1,000,000%. It's the best sport in the world. You can play it for the rest of your life. So when you actually zoom out as an entrepreneur, if you've been in it 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, and you've only dealt with shit so far, the good times will come if you keep going. And if you zoom out and you go, okay, life expectancy now, 80, maybe that'll boost to 90 by the time we're another 20 years down the line, because people are living longer, living bigger lives. Would you trade back and look at an entrepreneurial journey and go, well, I've been an entrepreneur for 50 years. The first 10 years was a kick in the dick, but the 40 after that was absolute. We smashed it. We won. We did this. Yes, there was more challenges, but we figured a lot of stuff out in those first 10 years. And that's the way to look at entrepreneurship, is paying the fee to be in the club. And this is what people aren't willing to do. This is why people start and stop. This is why people start a business. You see it all the time, especially on social media. Someone starts a page to follow. Someone starts and does one post on LinkedIn, go, I'm starting this business, I'm doing this, and then you never see him again. Podcast, same thing. Most people don't make it past 5 episodes. I can't remember the stats, I've said it before. Something like 50% of people don't make it past 5 episodes, 95% don't make it past 20 episodes. Can't remember the exact, but it's something like that. People start and stop. These, for me, are the wannabes. They're the people that, they want it, the entrepreneur, they want it, they dip their toe in and go, fuck, I did one post, or I phoned one person, and it wasn't a good response. And they get disheartened straight away. And they go, you don't want it enough. You don't want it enough. And as an entrepreneur, you've really got to fucking want it. You've got to want it to your core, that it doesn't matter what happens, you are not going to fucking stop. No one is going to stop you. No setback is going to stop you. And you zoom out, that a lot of the best entrepreneurs, they've gone through fucking significant pain periods. Some of them have lost it all. Some of them have lost it all publicly, massively. Some of them have faced major setbacks. There's loads of them. There are loads of them. And I believe these are the guys you've got to learn the most from. It is worth it in the end, in my opinion. I don't think there's anything better. There is nothing better waking up every single day as an entrepreneur and go, it's all on me. I actually like the responsibility of it. I like the weight of it. I like the unknown. I love I'm going to have a meeting with someone, I'm going to fucking smash it. I'm going to win this. I'm going to win this business deal. I'm going to play this in this way and think more like a chess player rather than a checkers player, and you shoot your shot too early. I love it. It's the best sport in the world, to create win-win deals for everyone and doing good business with good people. And this is something that I've come to really learn, is that is what a good entrepreneur does. Connects good people with good people and makes really good things happen, and you actually enjoy it as you go. That's the biggest part of it. You've got to have fun as an entrepreneur, because that's really why you got involved. You want to have a bit of fun. You want to make some money. Every entrepreneur wants to make money at the core somewhere. Some entrepreneurs are more, or claim to be, about giving back and doing stuff, but you need money to be able to do that in the first place. Entrepreneurship, you want to make money. You want to make a difference, but you actually want to provide good jobs for good people. You want good people around you, and you actually want to see other people win as well. There is no better buzz than actually making other people win as well around you. And this is what's been really nice for me, is doing some of the stuff that I'm up to now with the consultancy side of what I do, of helping other business owners grow, is actually seeing people now 9 months, a year later, actually the business is in a better place. There's a lot more money in the bank account. They're hitting the margins on the business. The leads are coming in. They're dealing with stuff really well. They've become a better leader. They've changed as a person. They've dropped the ego a little bit because they've gone through a bit of personal development and having some hard fucking truths. And I know I've helped a lot of people just by listening to the podcast, not actually working with me directly. The filter on effect of the internet, and this is what's weird about it, is it opens up a network of people listening to me, and this might be you, could be in a fucking foreign country. This is what is amazing about the internet. And as an entrepreneur, you see that as an opportunity. You see that as a potential to grow relationships with more people, because that's what business actually is. It's a relationship sport. Every single deal comes from a relationship with a customer, with a supplier, with labour, with staff. It's all about relationships. So the more and the quicker you as an entrepreneur can value relationships more than the money, the more money you'll end up making longer term. It's a weird little cycle. It's a weird little cycle. So there is a price to pay to be an entrepreneur. The price is greater than what most people are willing to pay. You will have to pay a lot to be an entrepreneur. And again, this is what people don't see, the fee that you've paid. But it's a fee worth paying. It's a club worth being in. It's the club that you want to be in as an entrepreneur when you make it and when you get things right. So there'll be two sides of the people listening to this in a minute. You have people earlier on in their journey finding their feet, making fuck ups, getting it wrong, wondering what the fuck are they doing. It's normal. Be cool with it. It's part of the process. You'd have people that have reached a decent level of success and they've hit a bit of stagnation, they've hit a bump, and they've hit a what now, and how do we solve this problem? Bigger problems, new levels, new devils. And it's all relative to where you are. And it just doesn't stop. So every entrepreneur should back every other entrepreneur. Whether you're the small guy, and I actually love the small guys. I actually love the hustle and bustle. I got my hair cut earlier. Loved it. Woman, she works in the barbers I go to, do a revenue share deal. I love stuff like this. So the fee that gets paid to the barbers, she gets her cut, the barbers gets their cut, the actual premises. So she's got skin in the game, and I love it because she was really nice, really just spoke to me really well, because she wants me to come back because she's got skin in the game. She's not an employee. And I love it at that level. I love entrepreneurship on that level, but I love entrepreneurship on the level of someone who's trying to structure a business and sell it for a lot of money and exit it. And I love the whole journey, and there's so many different levels to it. And it's just so exciting. It's so exciting. It is the best buzz in the world. And it's the only fucking conversation I want. So I hope this episode has been, maybe I've just said some one or two things. And this is the thing, the more developed as an entrepreneur you get, sometimes you only need to hear one or two lines from someone else and you have a different perspective on something, and it wakes something up in you, or kicks you up in the arse, or makes you realise you're on the right path, just carry the fuck on. So I hope this episode has done that, and that was just a very solid, easy, saying it how it is. This is what entrepreneurship is. It is fucking brutal. Make no mistake about it. It is fucking brutal, but it's fucking worth it when you get right. So if you have liked this episode, guys, all I would like you to do, pay the rent to me and leave me a review. It helps me out, build the podcast. It is growing. It is getting more traction every week. I check on the results here and there. And I just want to get it into more people's ears that are in the industry and spread the word of good, solid construction entrepreneurs, people trying to grow a business, get ahead, make more money and make a bit of a difference. So if you could do that, leave me a review. I'll be very grateful, and I will see you on the next episode. Bosh.